A new girl has entered the group chat. Her name is Jackie, and she gets her hair done at the hair agency now.
I cannot believe this.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Sisterish Show. I think because our viewers and listeners are going to be like, who's this bitch over here? I need to start this episode with my sisterish shit. So any of you guys that know me know that I am big into weaves, or as the common folk like to call them, extensions. And my sister Athina has been doing hair for a while, and because of her living in New Jersey and me being in Florida, South Carolina, wherever I was at the time, you never really got to get your hands on my head. And it pained her soul for a very long time. And I took the weave out, which was depressing. I feel like I lost my whole personality. Mm-hmm. So my sister's shit of the week is, if you guys are in South Florida and you know who I am, I will not bullshit you. You need to go to the hair agency, look at my hair. Let me just,
you guys,
like, let's do
a quick little glimmer.
Shameless plug for the hair agency. She did a whole color correcting situation on me because my hair does pull a lot of orangey red vibes. We were there for a full work day yesterday.
Yeah, we were there from literally 11 to like 9. But
yeah,
it's so well worth it.
And I have some weave in here. Shout out to Chelsea, my girl, and obviously Harula over at the hair agency. You guys need to check them out. But I feel like a whole new woman, and it's super light on my hair. And obviously that's just what I wanted to do to start the episode. So I welcome to the mermaid Jackie. Here she is. And
she's a brand new woman.
Check them out. Give their page a follow. We'll link them down in the description. But you guys need to sit in my sister's chair, or any of the amazing women that work there. Yeah, so my sister's shit is get your weave done at the hair agency.
I love that.
And I have a link. Book with Athina. Thank you. Goodbye.
Come book with me. So my sister's shit of the week is, we did a little situation. We got some stuff done to our face. Oh. And my sister's shit of the week, since I just finished recovering, is my VI peel.
Recovery.
So I feel like we're both like shouting out to
that's fine
Miami businesses. Here we are, but
support small businesses.
Absolutely. So I did a chemical peel about 10 days ago, and I feel like a few days ago I finally was like fully recovered. Okay. I am obsessed.
Okay.
It basically was like a very deep exfoliation into my skin, and if your skin needs to, it will start to peel away and like flake
like a snake. Okay.
And
do you pick it?
You're not supposed to pick it. You're supposed to like...
Because you're a picker.
I am a picker. But I tried to be really good.
Good.
And it was honestly so worth it. And like, obviously I couldn't be in the sun, so I felt like a pale ghost after...
I feel that.
Like, literally snowman. But my skin, the glow I had was unreal. I'm going to make like a little documentation of everything. But I went to the collagen project at Miami Beach, and it was one of the best experiences ever.
They are so good, guys.
So good. Very professional, very informative. Like, I just had such a good experience, and I've been wanting to do a peel for a while now. And I just highly recommend, if you're a girl that loves like that glow and you just feel like you have like gunk on your skin.
Like dull skin.
Exactly. It was freaking amazing. So beautiful. That's my sister shit of the week.
So check out the hair agency in Brickell in South Florida, obviously Miami-Dade area, and then the collagen project at Miami Beach. Such a vibe. We love them. We love you guys. We'll link their pages down in the description.
Yeah, we'll leave their pages down below. If you guys are in the area, please check them out.
Check them out. Shameless plugs.
Highly recommend.
Glowing from the inside out. Hair, skin.
All of it.
What else? All right. Beautiful. So let's get into today's topic. I feel like just like inflammation is trending and gut health is trending, whatever that means, we need to bring the conversation of birth control to the party. So I know that this can be a hot topic for many people. And before we start this, we are just telling you our personal experiences. We are not a health podcast. We are literally two grown AF women that have our own stories and situations. And I feel like our personal stories and testimonies will always outweigh what a description or insert or doctor is going to tell. So we want to just empower you and tell you our stories and what we've learned with our bodies and our experiences. And then we're going to get off of here. So hopefully you guys feel empowered by the end of it. And, you know, we want you to have the full picture of what is birth control and what are we actually doing? Because I feel like you're going to talk about, we are not being taught the correct situation about hormones and sex and birth control.
Yeah.
So why don't you just go through a little bit about your experience with like birth control in general?
Right. So I think this is a very touchy subject for a lot of people because, you know, it's something that most of the time you are put on at a very young age or as you get older as a woman, and you're not actually explained the whole thing with it.
Right.
And what I feel like we both can relate to is like I get a high when I'm like explaining to someone something and like they get it and they're like, oh yeah, like you're right. Why am I doing that? Or like, I think we're so conditioned and just taught of like what's normal and like just do it and go with the flow. But it's like
fuck normal.
The flow, get it?
Oh,
like the flow. Okay.
And flow.
Don't mind my dad jokes. Anyways, I'm in a silly, goofy mood, but it's like
it's my hair.
It is. It's giving me a high. I just get very, you know, I want people, and it's a very, like I said, touchy subject. So I feel like it's hard sometimes to get to the bottom of it. Yeah. But this is not like, I don't shame people. I have a lot of friends that are on the pill or on hormonal birth control, and it's not shaming them. Like, there's obviously so many different nuances and things that go along with it, but I think what I want to bring awareness to is like, let's not resort to that as a first option, and let's not gaslight women into thinking that they're crazy for having real
a bad symptoms
experience
and reactions.
Because I think what happens a lot of time in the health and medical community is like you share a negative experience with something and people instantly are like canceled. No, like you that's not valid. And it's like, let's not do that, because it's not just me, it's not just you, it's not just a few people here and there. It's a very common experience that women have with dealing with a lot of negative side effects and repercussions that follow them years later after doing hormonal birth control. I can't say that word, hormonal, like I know that word.
Hormonal. No, it's hormonal.
Why can't I say that? So my experience was, I think I went on the pill around age, I think I was 16.
Canceled. Instantly.
So my reason for going on the pill was honestly because
low key, we know the truth, Athena. Just tell them the truth.
My reason for going on the pill was honestly
heavy
because
periods.
My periods were very just heavy, and I haven't had really, really, really bad ones. Like, I've never gone to the hospital over it, but like to the point where like I would, like, I remember one time I like vomited and just like, it was very hard for me to live my normal life. Yeah. And so,
hold please.
My alarm to wake up.
We're just ahead of the fucking game today.
Yeah, we're ready and filming. So I went on the pill for the main reason of just wanting to kind of help my periods to become a little better and less painful, and just I can live my normal life.
Okay. And kind of control it better.
Yeah. Like, I don't have to let my period control my life. I don't have to, you know, take off work or take off school because I'm in pain. And I went online because if I went to my parents and asked them, can I go to the doctor and get birth control? They would have said no.
Canceled.
So I took matters into my own hands. I went online, and they have like online pharmacies where you can literally have like a consultation with a doctor. And like,
I'm just picturing you at like 15, 16 years old having your own little consultation.
No,
like,
that's what it was.
That's so funny.
So then I got a 3-month supply of birth control sent to my house every 3 months, and I would take the pill. And it's like, I'm not saying that it shouldn't be accessible or whatever. Like, it is what it is. But I don't feel like there's any proper education about what's going to happen if you go on it. Yeah. And I'm still dealing with hormonal imbalances from it. And I'm still dealing with like weight fluctuations from when I got off of it. Years ago. So I was only on it for 1 year. After a year, my like subscription ended, and I was like, I don't feel good on this. Right. And I would like forget to take them sometimes. And I was just like, you know what? I don't want this. I don't want to be tied to this for the rest of my life. Yeah. And it's just not worth it. And so I think that my main goal with like sharing what I've experienced is that let's not assume that that's the only option out there. And at the end of the day, in most instances, like, it is a Band-Aid.
Oh, 100%.
And it's not something that has 100% guarantee. Forget of using it as actual birth control. It's also not 100% effective, but like using it for hormonal, using it for hormonal purposes, I think that in the long run ends up being more detrimental. And I know plenty of women that are still trying to reverse those issues caused by it.
Yeah. So me being a homeschool mom and a health coach and in that space, I'm going to go with spitting facts at you guys because yes, I get canceled regardless of what I do online, but people cannot deny scientific research and papers as much so as they can't deny that you felt like shit when you were on it. So I'm going to touch on a few bullet points here, get your brain just a little tickled, and then I want you guys to do your own research and really check in with yourselves. So when we talk about the fact that you were whether it was a TikTok or it was someone that you saw, I don't know where you got the idea that you thinking like, oh, if I go on it, it's going to help me regulate my periods, which it absolutely does do that. But there's so many scientific research and evidence, actually, like people that go on birth control for endometriosis or cysts, you're actually 3 to 4 times more likely to develop really painful periods and endometriosis and all these things when you go on birth control, not while you're on it, because it does alleviate, which I will touch on why, but 2 years after you go off of it. That shit is scary.
Terrifying.
And they are not telling the youth, because, you know, I'm like 70 and I want to talk to you guys as your grandma. They're not warning us. They're not giving us the full informed consent here. So when you go on birth control, in essence, you are having a chemical period.
Right.
So what the hormone does to our bodies is it's literally tricking your hormones and body to no longer ovulate like we are supposed to. And then you don't even have a correct period. That's why you don't get pregnant. And so if you think about this and you think about any kind of hormone blocking, obviously everyone's situations when you get older, especially I know a lot of people, including my husband, like inject testosterone. Like our world is set up to like against us between 5G, stressful lifestyles, diet. Like I remember when Sean had blood work done, he was literally I had more testosterone than him. And so there's always gonna be certain situations where I'm like, no, this is a certain time where I think it's important. So I'm again, we're not throwing shade at you if you're on birth control and whatever your story is. But you when you go on birth control, you no longer are having a period.
Correct.
You might think you're having a period because you got a little something going on at 1 or 2 days, but that's not actually a period. And so first of all, are we telling these young girls that? Because I think if you went into like a high school, even like a freshman, you're like, you're not going to get a real period when you go on that. I don't think a lot of girls would go on it.
My understanding of that whole thing is that the way that like the sugar pills are in the pack was literally made so that people wouldn't freak out that they're not getting a period. So like when you stop that week of taking the pill and you're just taking the sugar pill so that you remember to take it, that's not an actual period because you can't get a period if you're not ovulating. And so they did that so that women wouldn't freak out and be like, oh my gosh, why am I not bleeding?
Bastards.
But yes, like if you went into a high school and there's, let's say, I don't know what the percentage is, 40% of the girls are on hormonal birth control and they think they're getting a real period. They're not. They're not getting a real period. And you don't know that. No one tells you that. And that's my issue.
And maybe some people are okay with that. But I think if you understand your body as a woman, and we always talk about on this podcast that the strongest thing in the world is a woman who's self-aware, knows where she's at in her cycle. We are unstoppable when you're tapped into yourself and your intuition and knowing where you're at in your cycle and you cycle sync your workouts and your work. Like, there needs to be more like women empowerment teaching in health, meaning like, let's learn your body, folks, not like let's give you a Band-Aid. Because look, at the end of the day, it's practicing medicine, and oral birth control is a band-aid to a bigger issue. If you have endometriosis, if you have painful periods, let's get down to the root cause of this. Let's figure out what's in your diet, what's going on in your lifestyle, especially when you're young. That should not be happening. Another thing that I hate to bring up on this podcast is the V word, which I don't know if you're allowed to even say it, but when you go to the doctor and you get like the Gardasil thing, a side effect in the freaking insert is literally PCOS. Issues with your period, painful period. Like, so are you getting the picture here?
Right.
But we're like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, I just don't know why I have like, these painful cysts. Like, that's not normal.
Right.
And so when you're chemically inducing or reducing or not having a period, that is so unhealthy.
Yeah.
So let's close the chapter on this part of it. When you are on birth control, you are not having a real period, kids. Now, detox pathways, when you don't have proper sweat going on in your armpits and you're shooting Botox in there, or you took your sweat glands out, down the road, that's going to lead to toxic overload in your body, and you will have cancer, whether it's 20 years from now, whether it's breast cancer. I'm not saying if I don't do that to my armpits, I'm not getting cancer, so don't get that impression. But our body, through sweat, through shit, and through our period as women,
Through shitting ourselves.
through shitting ourselves on airplanes, we are meant to get that shit out of our body. Almost every single autoimmune and cancer starts in a liver situation where your liver isn't working properly, and then you start getting really bad rashes and acne and period symptoms, and it's a whole obviously big picture. Like, cancer doesn't just show up on your doorstep. But if you're not having a true period and you are a woman, whether you're 12 years old or you are 55 years old and premenopause, you should look at your period as a time of the month where you're like, let's purge, get this shit out of your body. And this is a woman's podcast, and maybe there's a man listening and you're gagging, and I don't really give a shit, but your period is a form of detox. And so think about this for a second. We have youth going on birth control at whatever age. If Athena stayed on it from 16 to 21, she's not having a period for 5-6 years. That's not okay. That's not okay. And there hasn't been enough research on the other coin of this, of people for hundreds of years knowing, well, oh, it's okay if you're on birth control for all these years and it doesn't cause cancer. Like, your period is a form of detox, and you should always try to have those pathways open. And so that's all I want to say about you not having a period. I want to touch on, there's 2 other points that are important to my soul that I want to talk about. So there was a study by the American Journal of Psychiatry, and it was that women and girls who use hormonal birth control are 200% more likely to succeed in suicide attempt than those who don't.
Interesting.
200 more percent. So let's just do this whole story. I go to the gyno, I do what you did online. I'm a very impressionable high school girl. Shit goes down. Let's not even add in body image and TikTok and all this other shit. And you go on the pill to help your period very innocently. You go on the pill because you're not trying to be, respectful, not to get pregnant with your boyfriend and responsible. And then you're depressed and you're having these intrusive thoughts. And it's, again, going back to our hormones, our pituitary gland, like all these different things going on. So the rise in suicide and mental health and anxiety and issues has a lot to do with this birth control.
So I have never struggled with like dark thoughts or depression or things like that. It's never been something that was an issue for me. When I was on the pill, do you know what it felt like? It felt like almost an out of body experience when I was like going through something. Like, I didn't feel in control of my emotions, and I didn't feel on top of it. Like, I felt like something would happen and I would almost like operate in slow-mo, like as dramatic as that might sound. I felt very anxious. Like, I would constantly be feeling just almost just like so scatterbrained all the time. I remember definitely did some not good things for my body image, and like just constantly feeling unwell. Like, I never felt on top of it. Does that make sense? Like, I just...
A disassociation, I think, is the best thing.
I didn't feel in control of how I was feeling. And that was one of the top reasons that I was like, forget this. Like, I can't live like this because I'm not used to that. Like, I'm used to being very in tune to my emotions and how I feel, and I'm able to respond to situations appropriately. And like, I feel like it literally made me crazy. Like, it made me crazy. And I know that there's a lot of different emotions that I've heard people have experienced with being on hormonal birth control, as far as like being just in a very like funky state. Like, you don't feel like yourself. And now that I'm looking back, I'm like, it's because everything was so out of whack. I had no idea where I was in my cycle. And now that I'm more in tune to like cycle syncing and things like that, I'm able to know why I'm feeling certain ways. And it's not like a placebo situation where it's like, this isn't even actually my body. This is some sort of hormone that's changing how I'm feeling. I don't even know where I am in my cycle because I don't have a cycle.
Well, you can't know where you are in your cycle exactly because it's not even a real period.
Right.
Some of my clients that I'm coaching, and we're trying to get their gut health back in order, and we're doing intermittent fasting, and it's like very important that I know where they are in their cycle. They're like, I don't have a period. And it's like, how are you self-aware when you...
How are you regulating what you're...
And then you
living?
wonder why you can't get pregnant when you're on these fake synthetic chemical induced fake periods for a decade. And then you're like, okay, body, do your thing. Now I want to get pregnant. And your body's like, fuck you, because I haven't had a freaking normal period in a decade.
Yeah.
Which brings me to, there's also this amazing, crazy study out there right now. Slipping through my little notes here, of course. Women who have ever taken hormonal or oral contraceptives like the pill, they divorce at a rate 60% above the study average.
That's wild. Yeah,
Okay.
that's wild.
Now let me explain. So when the way God designed us, and obviously we all have our types, but like when you talk about pheromones and ultimately being in the feminine, being in the masculine energy, and feeling safe enough to allow your man to take control in the bedroom, in life, you know, especially those of us that are entrepreneurs, we were talking about this last night. When I'm a boss bitch doing my thing, I want to be able to come home and be handled like by my man. And that only happens when you have a real man, obviously, and it's a growth process. But what they're finding, and why the statistic is so high, 60% more likely to end a divorce if you've been on the pill or were on the pill in the past. Because when you're not having a real period, your hormones are actually more attracted, like literally science, guys, and look this up for yourself, never take my word for it. You're actually attracted to a more feminine man. So whatever your type is right now, folks, you're in your 20s and you're on birth control, your type will drastically change when you bounce your hormones back out and go off birth control.
Yeah.
And that's why the 60% increase in divorce is up, because what they found now, all these years later, is women have periods, unpopular opinion, not men. So
Is that unpopular?
Oh yeah, because now like there's dudes on freaking menstruating commercials. Like, I'm pissed about that shit, but I'm gonna shut up now because I'm like, that fucking bothers me. Like, it's
unreal.
No, you don't have a period. You don't have a freaking period, even on hormone shit.
I love that you're pointing at the camera as if they're watching us.
If you're watching me, I'm 100% ready for this cancellation campaign.
I don't think you'll get canceled by that.
I am a woman and I breastfeed and I bleed. And if you are a man, a homosexual, a transy, a bisexual, I just want you to know you don't menstruate and you shouldn't be on tampon commercials, and you also cannot give birth. I'm not a birthing person. I'm a fucking woman, a powerful fucking woman that ovulates and has a period and has breastfed 4 children. So you will not be taking that away from me or any of my women friends. Goodbye. Okay. Back to what I was saying. So you literally are attracted to a different man on birth control. So you're on birth control for your 20s, and let's just say you have your life all figured out, whatever the fuck that means, because there's no right time to have a baby. And you're like, okay, babe, with this super feminine, like dorky guy. I'm like picturing him right now. Like, he's not my husband, and he's definitely a gamer.
You in the gaming. I cannot.
Sorry, I'm kidding. He's not. My kids all game. That's the funny part about this. But anyway, I'm not a game hater, only for my man. So anyway, you go off birth control and you try to have a baby. Mm-hmm. First of all, you're going to be hit with infertility shit, because that's another study that they found that you're like 75% more likely to have fertility issues when you're on the birth control for just 1 year, even. No, don't be worried.
I'm not worried.
You won't have any of these issues. But listen to this. So now you're trying to have a baby. Let's just say you do a gut healing protocol. You do all the good things. Because listen, there's always hope. You are always able to reverse, like, whether it's generational shit or your health. It's always day one. Like, you can start over and fix yourself. So let's just say this woman gets her hormones balanced out, because there's always hope if you're alive. And now she's going to make a baby with her man. And she's not into this like feminine, girly, non-alpha man. And they get divorced.
That's a sad life.
So if you're thinking about finding your soulmate or like engaged and you're on birth control, you should seriously like think about that. Mm-hmm. I know that sounds dramatic.
I don't think it's dramatic. It makes sense. I mean, when you ovulate, like, you look better, you feel better. I perceive myself as more attractive, and my partner also perceives me as more attractive.
Pheromone, energy, chemical thing that's going on.
If I'm not ovulating, I don't really understand how, like, you must just feel ugly all the time, because that's like a depressing life if you think about that.
That's what I'm saying. Because when a woman ovulating is like, move the fuck over.
Yeah. Yeah, like, make space, because I'm hot bitch.
The queen is here.
Literally.
And if you're not feeling like that when you're ovulating, let's talk, because
we only get 2 months of the year. I wish.
We get 2 weeks out of the whole effing month that we're like that.
That we feel our best. So it's like, I mean, that makes sense. And like, as a woman in a relationship, and I was in a relationship before I went on birth control, while and after, like, I can't imagine having something altering my hormones while trying to find your soulmate, mate. And then like not liking them anymore, because I'm like, wait, this isn't even what I wanted. And I just
take that into consideration, because I was on birth control, literally turned 18, went to the gyno, and this is what they do at the doctor's office. Here's birth control and here's Lexapro.
I still can't believe they did that.
Here's birth control that's going to make you 300 times more likely to have suicidal thoughts. And then here's an antidepressant just in case that happens. And it was like, I wasn't depressed. So again, we're not shooting shots and shade at you if you're on birth control, but these are just things that we want to bring to your attention. And I think it's important that you know it. So story time. So my whole life, I, just like you, which I feel like your generation and Gen Z is way more empowered, and I'm proud of you guys. And it's like, good. But you went to the gyno, you went on birth control. Okay. Mm-hmm. I went on birth control at 18 years old. I was on it till I was like 21. Mm-hmm. And the pill. I went off of it when we were engaged, getting married, got pregnant, had all my babies in my 30s. Well, mid 20s. Yes. I'm 26 years old. I have 3 children. I've been married at this point for 4 or 5 years, whatever, 26, whatever. Guys, don't worry about the timeline. But the moral story is I was a grown AF woman, had children, birthed children, and had a successful marriage. I go on vacation, and I didn't go back on birth control after I had my first son, because I did the correlation. I was like, I feel like shit on birth control.
Yeah.
You think I'm crazy on the pill? Just ask Sean. I'm fucking nuts.
No, that's what I'm saying. It made me insane.
Psychological.
I know.
Hot, cold, angry, fighting.
Yeah.
Not turned on. Why don't you hold me? Like, what the frick?
Yeah. That's how I was too. Like,
completely out of control.
Not in control of my emotions. Spiraling daily. Like bipolar. Like, something was off, and I felt it.
Same. So I said, I'm not going back on that. Well, I'm like fertile freaking Myrtle. Sean would touch my pinky finger and I would get pregnant, which that's amazing. And I'm so grateful for that. So we're like, what are we going to do? So we use disgusting condoms because no one was talking about online or in any health space. I was never taught that you only can get pregnant on like literally 3 days. So if you don't have sex around that window or you're extra careful, then you're good. So we start using condoms as like
7 years into your marriage or whatever.
Which is like first of all, the smell of the rubber. And then it's like, why are we even having sex at this point? Like, it's not even worth it, but whatever. We were trying to be responsible adults and I didn't want to go on the pill. So we're on vacation.
My responsible big sister.
So responsible. So we're on vacation and literally I have 3 sons I'm putting to bed at night. And we have mind-blowing sex. Happens. Gets better with age with your man. And he does his thing. I don't need to get too into detail here.
He jizzed.
He had that release.
Bowel release and jizz release.
Guys, no joke. There's a perfect hole in the tip of the condom.
No.
He pulls out and there's a hole. Like, it looked like I looked at him and I'm like, did you do that?
Did you cut a hole? Like, are you trying to impregnate me?
I have a mental breakdown. Guys, I'm 27, 28 years old. I'm not like 16 and pregnant about to be on MTV. We have a house. We have a mortgage. We have 3 children.
I never know this story.
I felt so violated. Like, honestly felt so violated. Funny. And we both went to bed. Like, I remember pulling our blankets up and we were like, did that just happen? Like, because we were so scared. I didn't get pregnant. There wasn't a baby then.
Did you
ding ding ding?
Up to what point did you think until you got your period?
Until I got my period, I was pregnant. 100%. That's how fertile I was. So my period comes exactly when it's supposed to, and we look at each other. And I didn't have the thought of like, oh my gosh, I'm getting older and I'm infertile. I was like, wait a minute. There's like a few days of the month that I can get pregnant. So we never used condoms again, and I just tracked my effing cycle. And that's my journey of cycle syncing. And like knowing my body was, we had that oh shit moment as a married couple with 3 children. And I realized
that is actually so funny.
I was like, oh my gosh. And then guess what? That was back when James was like an infant. James is 9. Luke, for 4 years, we had sex every day. And I never got pregnant. Because I just didn't have sex when I was ovulating, or we were just super careful.
Yeah.
And so again, I'm not your doctor. I don't want to be responsible for you guys having like 12 babies. But like, if you know your cycle and you know your body and you know when you're ovulating and you really are like dialed in, you won't get pregnant.
Yeah.
And then when we wanted to get pregnant at 29 with Lukey Bear, we had sex on the days that I was ovulating.
There is nothing like being, I feel like we're both in a very good place of like that. I feel like we're both really into our cycles, and there is literally nothing better. Like, I have never felt so good as to knowing where I am, what that means, and not having to cover up things and not be a woman in the way I'm supposed to. Like, if I am capable of having a period, like, I know there's some women that have like issues and they can't, and like that's a whole other thing. Like, they lose their period through like exercise and things like that. Like, that's a whole other issue. But if you are the norm, which is like most women have somewhat of a regular period, like, there is nothing more empowering and feeling so good about yourself as like to knowing when it's happening and just being in charge and like having your foot up and knowing what's happening.
Self-awareness is like,
it's unreal. And I just like, especially to girls my age, because I feel like we're at that weird place where it's like, okay, like,
the biological clock is ticking,
right,
but it's like also like right,
where it's like not socially acceptable to be pregnant, but like it still could be fine because you're like an adult. But it's like there's so many things and options out there that just, even if it takes you weeks and months to like learn about your cycle and other forms of birth control, like, do that work, because it's so well worth it. There's nothing, I've been in both places, and there's nothing like how I feel right now and knowing everything that I know. And like, take charge of that. Like, don't just walk into your gyno that sees you for like literally 12 minutes, hands you a prescription, and then like for the next 15 years of your life, you're on the pill until you're 30 and you want to have kids. And it's like, now what? Oopsie. Right. And it's like, don't put yourself in that position because it's gonna suck and it's just not worth it. Like, for whatever, you know, the girls on birth control might be like, oh, well, you know, I don't have to think about any of that. So like it's not worth it.
No. And anything worth it, it's going to take work in regards to like, yeah, at first it's going to feel like, oh shit, I have to actually pay attention.
Right.
When I'm kissing my husband or like when I want to have sex with my husband, like, oh, I can't do it. Like it's at first you're like, this is annoying because it is easier. Obviously the easy button is you take a pill, you don't get pregnant. But long term,
which it's not even, most people don't even use it correctly, or it's not even 100% effective. And nothing is 100% effective. And if I'm going to choose a not 100% effective thing, I'd rather choose
the most natural thing.
Correct. Yeah. So, I mean, natural cycles is actually FDA approved for those people that care about that. Like, it is backed by research and it does work. So, like, facts are the facts. And the facts are you can't get pregnant 30 days out of the month. So, if that is why you're on
not
birth
30. 3 days.
No, I'm saying you can't get pregnant 30 days out of the month.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, yeah. Thought you meant like, okay, just don't mind.
So, but my point is like knowing that and educating yourself on that and then applying it to your own body is super empowering. And I think that if more women and girls and all of us just took a moment to like educate ourselves and reflect on what that means for us now and us as moms, like, we would be so much better and for ourselves and for our kids, and just to teach your kids that, you know, it's just like.
And then here comes the boy mom in me. Obviously, it's different when you have sons. I have 4 sons. I will be educating Yanni.
Yeah.
That, like, it's not just the woman's problem.
Yeah.
2 to tango, doing the deed. You are just as responsible.
Right.
So I want my sons to also know that. Like, I don't want them to think it's just the norm for your girl to be on birth control.
Right.
And I'm not judging my future daughter-in-law.
I'm interrupting, but have you seen I forgot where it was, but I think it was in like a TV show or movie, and it was like the guys are literally like, I will not get with this girl if she's not on the pill. And I'm like, I think that's such a bizarre concept, like to just expect the woman that you're with to just be on the pill. It was on
freaking Love is Blind.
That's where it was.
Yeah.
That's where it was.
And then he looked into like sterilizing himself. Like, are you dumb? Like, what? Why don't you guys just know the days that she gets pregnant? Now, I know there's going to be people that are like, my period comes every 30 days. My period comes every 14, whatever. Yes. That one size fits all is not going to work. And that's why it's a process, especially when you go off the pill. It could take years for your hormones to balance back out, but like, don't give up. One foot in front of the other. You will balance yourself back out. Like I told you guys, I was on birth control for 4 or 5 years. I was even on Lexapro antidepressants for like, I think it was 6 months. And we want to talk about zombie. I didn't feel happy and I didn't feel pain. There was nothing, but, if you're listening to this right now and you are on birth control, whether you're 17 or you're 40 and you feel like shit and you have anxiety and you're bloated and your boobs hurt and you're like, don't feel like yourself, instead of going to the doctor and allowing him to just keep writing off meds and prescriptions to you, realize that a side effect of that birth control is all the things you're complaining about.
Right.
And feel empowered and know that we are not the first woman in history that knew our cycles and didn't get pregnant, and you can do this too. Bye, guys.
Mic drop to that. That was so good, Jack. That was so good.
We got you, boo.
We got you. And yeah, it's all about just feeling like, that's, I think, really when we wanted to talk about this. Like, I just want women to feel like in control of their bodies and in charge. Like, don't be so dependent on something else.
You are sovereign over yourself and your body,
right? Not
the government, not your pastor, not even your parents. So I want you to feel, in control. Yeah. And when we feel out of control, that's when thoughts are spiraling, anxiety is happening, and obviously that's part of life. But like I just said to you, there's scientific evidence of 200 to 300% more mental health issues and anxiety issues, and you could potentially, I mean, yeah, you could be off the pill and not get divorced, but like, I don't like those stats, 60% if you've been on the pill. That's crazy. So if you're looking for your lifelong partner, like, just take all these things into account with a grain of salt, whatever. But if you feel like shit, you're not supposed to. I would just like to close out really fast, even though we had our mic drop moment, really, really quick, because I don't have tubes. I don't have to worry about this whatsoever. I don't recommend that, but we're not talking about it today. But what are practical things that have helped you know when you're ovulating? And then let's get off of here.
So I'm very blessed because my period has always been 28 days on the dot.
Beautiful.
Perfect. I know not everyone is blessed with that. So I don't know, for someone that's very irregular, I would assume you would have to do something a little more like taking your temperature, like your basal temperature. I would assume it would have to be something a little more like that.
That could be an Aura Ring situation.
Correct.
Get the Aura Ring, not sponsored, just love it so much, and it would know your temperature, and you'd be able to track it from that.
Correct.
The data.
For me, it's always been like a calendar situation. I have the 28 app, which I've talked about on here, and like, it's all in there. I am so regular, so I know that nothing will change, and that's how I know what phase I'm in, what that means for me, all of that.
So a calendar, and then the app was?
The app was 28. Okay. And then if you are someone that wants to go the next step, which we've talked about, and I really will take this next step in the next few months just because I'm a freak and I want to, is ovulation. Getting natural cycles.
Okay.
You can do natural cycles through like the Aura Ring, which automatically will take your data.
Such a good idea.
Or you can also just do it through them with an actual, like, they'll send you a thermometer, which obviously the Aura Ring's easier because you just have it on. You don't have to do anything or worry about it. But if you are someone that is more irregular, I feel like that would probably be the more foolproof way to do it, since you can't rely just on
so can you link that in the description?
Yeah, everything will be linked down below. We don't get paid for this. Like, no. We're not gating anything. No. It's actual like qualitative stuff that can help you guys and just make you feel in control and empowered when it comes to your body and when it comes to your period and ovulating and controlling your hormones and all of that. So, and
just like any big sis talk, if there's anything that I can save my little sis who's 20 years ahead of me, we're going to talk about it. And that's why we're talking about it on this podcast. The Sister Show is meant for you to feel like you're our sister and you're sitting with us, and we want to save you from the bullshit we've walked. And just, tell you our story. And if you don't feel good, that's not normal. And what is normal is not what I want anyway. So if just listen to your body, listen to your hunger cues, be informed, and just know the risks. It's important. Because with anything, there's risks. Obviously, like you said, nothing is actually foolproof. Not birth control and not cycle syncing. So anyway, thank you guys so much for listening.
We'll be your aunts if you do get pregnant, though.
Oh, we will throw you a baby shower.
We will gladly throw you a baby shower and be your aunts and just
it'll be amazing.
Live that whole life for you.
Yeah,
with you.
We're so excited for that as well. But anyway, if you have any questions, of course, you can send us a message on Instagram or I don't know.
Send us a message. Send us a message on Instagram. We have our TikTok as well. And just, we are here for you guys. We love you all. We thank you for your support.
She can't talk.
I literally have dyslexia.
Just say hormones.
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 Hormonal. I'm going to write it 100 times.
Hormonal.
We love you guys so much. And we'll see you next week.
5-star review, please. Bye.
Bye.